Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Couch. For those of you that don't know me, I am an independent promoter with the company Prove It. And today I'm excited to talk to you guys about the topic, is fear driving you? And I am excited to talk about this because fear used to control so much of what I did. Fear used to grip me in the craziest way. And I will walk through all of this in my personal experience a little bit, but when I literally had a life shifting event that just changed so much for me, I had to learn how to stop letting that happen. And so, we're going to go quickly. I want you guys to take a minute to send out some gratitude. So send someone a message, thank them, even if it's something little like they prayed for you. Well, that's not little, but they prayed for you or they supported you in some way. I think those little messages go such a long way. And even when I can tell when people are at events or different things and they've asked them to do that, I still love getting those text messages. So take a minute and send those out. I've seen before that neuroscience shows that gratitude is like a lubricant for your brain. And so, it's like your bike wheels and they're squeaky and they're oily. But this helps. It helps to like get you in that working stage better where you focus on the good and you can think of ideas and you can push forward and you can find solutions because it enables you to, and we're going to talk about all this, but it enables you to access things you couldn't if you're stuck in that blaming and negative mindset. So first of all, I just want a quick show of hands, who watched Free Solo? I know Pam did because she texted me in the middle of it like, this is intense. And I remember when we watched it, having to pause it and start again. But I hope you got, I am sorry, this wind is blowing, but if I turn this way, I hope you guys got so much out of that because that was like, what are we even afraid of? If it doesn't put things in perspective, like, holy cow, this guy is going up these huge mountains and literally has no safety net. And so if we think of ourselves like we've got safety nets, we have each other, we have our coaches, we have our mentors, we have people to support us. And so who has read or started to read The Magic of Thinking Big? I know I mentioned it last week in the call. I suggested it as a reading topic. If you haven't, I want you to definitely put it on your reading list. And if you have, then you may know some of the things I'm going to talk about today. So one of the big things from that book is if you believe in yourself, you instantly start the process of how. And I think we're going to get into that more today, but a lot of times you think, what do I have to do? Or you think the technique of how somebody's doing. And we've gotten that too. Nick and I were like, what so-and-so went super fast, like in this business or in anything. But like, what could they possibly be doing different than me? Like, what's the thing? You're always trying to grasp the thing technique-wise that person might be doing, or how are they XYZ, anything. How are they doing better in homeschooling, or how are they doing, whatever your thing is. And you're always looking for this technique that they might be doing. Whereas what this book tries to show, and what Nick and I are constantly hounding on, it feels like, is mindset. And how do you shift yourself into the process of how to do it is by shifting what you think, right? And so if you can make 1 degree shifts in what you're thinking each day or each week or however often you're putting this stuff into your mind, the process of how will show up. The process of how will show up, right? So who believes in where you want to go, right? And I know this is all a process. So if anything that I'm saying today sounds crazy or sounds like too much, go back through old ones, start with how you're starting to get there. And I'm going to make a little shift over to a plug here while I'm doing this because I'm sorry about this, but I just got a 10% notice on my phone. So I think you want to be shifting your brain and then the other stuff starts to show up, if that makes sense. So the only way to get there, right? The only way that you can see this dream that you've pictured and you can see what you want to be doing, the only way to get there is if you believe that you're capable of getting better, right? Like if you're reading all these books and you're putting all this great stuff into your mind. Let me grab my charger here. I'm sorry if you are putting up with this and you're watching it on a recording. I actually brought this and meant to charge it when I was in there all morning preparing for this, and then didn't do it. Okay, I got it. We're good. Okay, so like I said, the only way you can believe is if you are capable. The only way you can do it, the only way you can get to your dream is if you believe you're capable of getting better, right? That you have gotten better, that you are getting better currently, right? That you're continuing to get better. Like, you can't get better if you don't believe that you can get better, or if you don't believe that all the things you're putting in are going to get you to your dream, right? And then that is what's going to allow you to access how to do it. Okay, let me make sure I'm charged here. 2 seconds. All right, we're good. Okay, perfect. So I think, like I touched on before, we are always saying, like, the technique, we don't even want to touch that. We don't even want to touch technique. Like, people reach out like, what are you doing? Like, how isn't it cold contacting? And we've talked through those, and we're going to continue to talk through attraction techniques and ways to attract people, but it's ways, it's ideas, it's you finding out what works for you to attract people. But really, the technique, if you get this part of it, what I'm going to talk about today, the answers are going to start coming into your life. And it's not magic, all right? It's not that these things are all of a sudden here in your life. It's that you are going to have eyes to see them, if that makes sense. I forget the movie when that we were talking about the one time, but the one guy asked the other guy, do you believe in luck? And the guy says, yes, but I believe the same luck surrounds everyone. Some people just know how to access it, right? And when people used to talk about this stuff about, you get what you put out, and, shifting your mind and how it accesses all this other stuff, or it opens your eyes to things, I'm like, this is nuts. Or like visualization and manifestation. I'm like, this is not, like, this all sounds like, not witchery, but like, it all sounds crazy to me. I don't understand how to put it into practice. But like I was talking about on last week's Zooms, a couple of them, when you start to open your mind to things, you start to see things, right? If you're stuck in this negative mindset, you're not going to see all these positive opportunities coming your way, right? And so how do you access it? I think the magic of thinking big teaches you how to do that. When you read that book, all of it, and this is what we're going to talk about today, it all starts with belief in yourself. Okay, so when you start to believe in yourself, you start to see the luck, right? You start to see the opportunity. You're postured to receive, if that makes sense. So if this is making sense, like, raise your hand, like, put it in the comments. I will look at those. But you have to think of it like this. Like, you're the receiver in a football game, right? And you're waiting for the ball. So you're running down the field. You're looking for the ball. You're waiting for them to throw it to you so you can run it in for a touchdown, right? You're ready to receive the opportunity. You're ready to receive the luck. If you're stuck in a negative mindset, or you're putting all negative in, you're not growing yourself at all, then you're running down the field not even looking for the ball. Like, does this make sense when I make it an analogy? Like, you're praying that they throw the ball and that it's somehow going to get stuck in your helmet or stuck in your uniform and you score a goal, right? Like, if you're stuck in a negative mindset, there's so much, there can be a million opportunities, a million things that are lucky, a million resources, a million tools, a million techniques thrown your way. And if you're not open to receiving them, if you're not getting your mind in the right spot to be able to use them, you're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. And I think that's why we're always harping on mindset. That's why we're always harping on shifting 1 degree shifts in your brain to be able to receive that positivity. Like, imagine a whole world out there ready to help you, ready to give you the opportunities, ready to give you the success, ready to give you the things you need to take your life to the next level, and you're blinded to them, right? It's like they're right in front of you, but you have this blinder over your eyes and you can't even see them, right? And so all this does, this huge mindset shift, all it does is it gets you to open your eyes, right? It gets you to see the abundance and believe that you can access it, okay? Negativity, and I think this is in the book, right? Negativity sucks creativity. Fear takes away, and positivity gives, okay? If you are stuck in fear or anxiety or negativity, then what we need to do is stop and back up and know that fear takes away. It will not deliver anything to you, right? It won't deliver you from your problems. It won't deliver you success. It won't deliver you excitement, right? It won't deliver you joy. There's nothing, not just improve it, not just with ketones, not just with anything. It's not going to bring you anything positive if you're stuck in negative, right? It will take you deeper into your problems because you've lost access to the things that have the ability to get you out. If you're not looking for ways to get yourself out of a situation and you're just stuck in the situation, you're not going to find the way out. You're just going to go deeper in, right? What does positivity do? I'm sorry, my nose is itching. What does positivity do? It opens up resources. It opens up options. And I'm not talking about something that's not real here or some lofty idea that we can't get to, which is what I used to think when people would talk about this. We're talking about what is already surrounding you. We're talking about what is already there that's yours for the taking if you can make that shift from focusing on negativity to focusing on the ball that's being thrown to you, right? Focus on the abundance, focus on the positivity. And what positivity is going to do is negativity blocks you from seeing that. Positivity makes it clear, okay? So if you literally right now shift your focus to the blessings, right? If you literally, like, the sun is out, you have a house to live in, you have a bed and running water and a family, and you have each other to plug in here every single day and get that positivity from each other, how much better do you feel looking at already? Like, that was literally what, 10 seconds of gratitude, 10 seconds of looking for the positive. And if you could get yourself in even that mindset when you start to take action in your business or start to take action in your life, imagine if you go deeper into that, right? And I think for me, a good example of this, when Nick had his head injury in 2016, which is 3 years from tomorrow, 3 years ago from tomorrow, I had to do this. Like, if I got up and just started my day, it was just a spiral. I was in tears all the time, and our house was being renovated at the time. I was just crushed. Like, it felt like I couldn't even breathe to start my day. I was so anxious. But if I would go into a quiet space and start with gratitude, even the littlest things, like, I'm thankful Nick is here today so that I can take care of him. And his mindset was off, and so that was hard for me too, to deal with his mood and different things there. But even when I would feel myself getting upset with how he was acting, I'm thankful that he's alive to be able to help him through this, or whatever it was that I was thankful for. I could shift my mind, and I had to do it multiple times through the day when I was first getting started. Now I'm a little bit quicker at it. I can shift quicker. But then I had to do it multiple times a day. Go by myself, what am I grateful for? And then go forward in that mindset, right? And there's literally a psychological place, and the studies, I don't know, but I think it's called in the black, right? And it's a psychological place where you literally lose, I have not experienced it, I didn't experience it then, but you literally lose fine motor skill. Where you literally lose fine motor control. Like, you can't type, you can't move, you can't do anything when you get in that state of fear and anxiety. And, I imagine it's what I was feeling, but at a much, like, crazier, deeper level. And people are there, you guys. People live in that state sometimes. But, and the more you go down that hole, the more anxiety and the less control you have, right? If you have ever talked to military men or women, a lot of times, people will come to us and they have PTSD or they have different things. They easily can get in the state, right, where they're ready to curl up, they're ready to ball up, they're ready to shut down because of either things they're currently experiencing or currently going through, or past things that have happened that get them feeling in that state, right? And what do? They have people that come in that train them how to get out of this state, right? They breathe deeply, they go to gratitude, they raise the belief in themselves, right? And it's important for them in combat, but it's important for us in all areas. Like, imagine if you could easily get yourself out of that state, right? Who else? I'm a person who is prone to anxiety. Yes, bad anxiety. Okay. Ever since college, I have, I'm not going to date myself and say how many years ago, but ever since college, I got into this really bad, anxious place. And ever since then, I've been prone to that anxiety state. I've been prone to fear taking, I've been prone to fear, and I almost said, I'm not going to blame myself, right? But when Nick had his head injury, I would let myself go down these mental rabbit holes where like I would start to be afraid of something, and then I would start to think about all the ways that could play out. For example, like my kids getting hurt or Nick getting hurt, and I would like play it out in my brain to a point where I would just get so anxious. It hadn't even happened. It literally hadn't even happened, but I would get so anxious about it happening. And then Nick got hurt and it literally happened. And I'm like, wow, did I, like, maybe all the stuff they're saying is true. That's sort of what got me looking at the other side of it. Like, can you really manifest things? And it's not that you're thinking them and they automatically come true. It's that you're thinking them and you're shifting your mindset, and then you're open to them happening. Okay. And so I think having this single tool to be able to shift my mindset has helped me to grow my life into new places. And it's not at all a technique to sell ketones. You guys see that, right? Like, ketones are amazing. We talked about that last week, and it's amazing. And the community, everything is amazing, but you can shift so much by shifting up here, right? And I learned this, I think, at an event. It was Joseph McClendon that was there, and he taught us this stop technique where you sit down and you thought about really bad, like the worst thing that's ever happened in your life. And then he taught us how to stop those thoughts. Like, you literally stood up and stopped those thoughts and went to a place of positivity and gratitude and excitement, right? So he taught you how to shut that down and shift, shut it down, shift, shut it down, shift, so that you can move quickly into a place where you're not dwelling in that anxiety and not dwelling in that negativity. And if you guys noticed, Friday, I talked about Mel Robbins and how that shifted my life. And today, Joseph McClendon and how that shifted my life. And do you know where I got those? Proof it events, you guys. So if you are not signed up to go to Hacking Better, get with Nick or I, get with the person above you or your coach or whoever, and get to these events. It's not just about keto and the products. It's about shifting your life. I am so serious. And you would have not heard me say that in 2016 when I went to my first event. I was not excited to go. Nick basically had to drag me there. But the things you learn there will shift the trajectory of everything. So negative thinking and this victim mindset and this drama triangle compound this. Okay, so if you already have a negative mindset, if you already are prone to anxiety and all of that, continuing to put negativity into your mind, continuing to put other people's drama and gossip, it's only going to compound this, right? So if you think practically, it's not like when you start believing in yourself, all of this goes away instantly. I'm not saying that, right? I wish it did, and I pray that it does for everyone, but you're not compounding it, right? If you're progressing and not digressing, you're moving 1% forward every single day. Think of that shift over the next month. Think of that shift over the next year. And I think for me, especially in the past when I first started, I'm a very black and white thinker, right? I'm super rigid. I get things in my head that like one way works. Like when I first started diet, I'm very good in the beginning because I can, if someone lays it out for me, I can do it. But then I veer off, or, but I'm very rigid in how I do things. But this book and all books, really, all of this mindset shift, it challenges you. And that's why I think reading and developing yourself are so huge, because it challenges you to be open to new ways. It makes you try new ways to do things and raises your EQ and your AQ. And so what I want you to do is ask yourself constantly, how can I do a better job, right? I think if you're always asking this, because then you can open your mind to new ways, if you think you've got it all right. So I think we can fall into the trap, like you have someone enroll, and so you stop getting on these calls because you're like, okay, that worked. I'm just going to keep doing that forever. Like that would have been me in the past. Like, oh, I figured it out. I got someone here. I don't need to get on those calls anymore. Like, or you go champ 6. So then you stop going to events, right? Or you go pro champ. So you stop developing your leadership skills because you think you've got it figured out. I'm here to tell you guys, it doesn't happen just because you hit a certain rank or just because you get somewhere. And if you can constantly keep asking yourself, how can I be doing a better job? You're going to be constantly taking in feed from all these different sources and then making your own way to actually be making yourself better, right? I think it's, you're always at a risk of only learning one way to do things. And, you know, an example of this is that you see is that the best performing athletes are the ones who spend the time with the most coaches, right? So it's always beneficial to have someone from the outside calling something out from inside of you, right? So if you're always reaching out, and it doesn't have to be one-on-one coaching, it can be, certainly reach out to us or anyone that you know, want to be mentored by. But, you know, you can get this from motivational speakers. You can get this from people that are successful, that you see what they're doing. It's always good to have someone looking in, right, and saying, okay, hey, there's more in there. Leadership, it comes when you're not only raising the belief in yourself, but you start to raise that belief in other people, right? Get them on calls, get them a book like this, get them to events, text them with real coaching and accountability, right? If you guys look at the world around us, right, if we all stopped and looked at the world around us, what does the news, what does the world focus on? It's not what we're doing, right? It's the biggest drama. It's the biggest problems. It's not like, oh, so-and-so is an amazing mom today, or, you know, she's really super positive, I'm going to really put her in the news. It's not, right? The world is waiting for the worst to come out in people, unfortunately. And so what a leader can do and what you can do to step up, a leader goes against that, right? They stand against the negative energy. They stand and say, I'm choosing to believe in my own greatness, right? I choose to believe the best for my family. I choose to believe the best for the people in my team. I'm going to call out the greatness in my team, right? And if I'm met with resistance, like if I'm looking on here, like if I'm like, hey, I'm going to choose to call out, you know, greatness in Amanda, right? And if I'm met with resistance from her, I'm going to believe it for her, right? If I'm getting resistance, it's because she can't see it in herself yet. And I trust that she will, right? I'm going to be their coach and not their friend because I care about her. I think that in this society, we have such an odd definition of love, right? Like I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be even where I am now without people giving me tough love at some point in my life. Like who else is there with me? Who else? Like maybe it didn't feel good in the moment, but when someone reaches out and calls you out, it feels bad in the moment. Maybe you're like, because you're not ready for it, you're not open to receiving it, right? But then you look back later and you're like, they not walked me through that, had they not been a coach, had they not been real with me in that moment, I wouldn't have grown through that at all, right? And I may have gone down, like there's a path, and you can go down the negative, or you can say, man, I'm going to let them coach me and bring more greatness out in me, right? I think sometimes, love isn't always a hug. Sometimes it's a kick in the rear, and you have to know when to do what, but you can trust that if your motivation is to call out greatness in someone, then you're on the right path. But it starts with you guys. You can't see greatness in someone else if you aren't trying and pushing to see it in yourself. And I think we've talked about in the past, you see what you look for, right? Like a very like practical, who buys a new car? Like you buy a Jeep, my mom bought a Jeep. Then she starts seeing Jeeps everywhere, right? Like you see the little wave and you got all that, but you see what you look for. If you're looking for greatness, you're going to find greatness. If you're looking for negativity, you're going to find negativity. If you're looking for gossip, you're going to find drama. But if you're looking for growth, you're going to find resources and opportunities and greatness, right? That you guys is the miracle of attraction. Like I feel like we're all trying to look for, like, how do we bring them in? How do we bring them in? But if you think you're going to be stuck in that victim mindset and attract great, positive people, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You've got to shift it here. You've got to raise your belief. You've got to be looking for your own greatness, and then you're going to find it in other people. And if you're looking for your greatness and you're finding greatness in other people, what do you think you're going to bring to yourself? It's not a magic trick. It's what you're attracting because it's what you're looking for, right? I think rather than getting stuck in that negativity, I know for myself, and I think everyone that's getting on these calls wants this because you're still here on day 58. Wouldn't you rather believe in yourself and then believe in others enough that they can step into their own greatness? Like, I'm getting chills saying this out loud. So I think, there's so many sheep out there that are blindly following negativity. They're pulled to that, right? And I think if we're not careful, we can go down that too. But I'm trying in my own daily interactions. I've shifted it not just from my business and my reading. Like, I'm really trying to apply what I'm learning. I've realized that I'm putting so much in, but I made a post about this yesterday. I don't want to just learn about personal growth. I want to create personal growth. And so I'm looking for ways to apply it everywhere. So if I'm in a conversation and it starts to go down, I get out of that conversation or I shift it to positive. If you can practice in every little area of your life, imagine what you'll start attracting to yourself, right? So I think that, you're human. You're gonna have emotions. But if you're gonna have these emotions anyhow, why not shift them to have big, positive emotions instead of these negative ones, something that's going to serve you and that's going to pull out this greatness. Like, why not? You're going to have them anyhow. Might as well make them good, right? So that's your call to action today. I want you two things. I want you to find someone that you look up to or find someone that you admire their achievements or what they're doing. And I want you to, instead of feeling negative and comparing yourself, negative mindset compares and says, I could never do that. A positive mindset makes the shift in emotions and says, that's what I'm going to look at to believe what I can become. How much better does that feel, right? The minute I heard that in a sermon one time I was listening to, and it says, instead of looking at them and thinking, I could never become that, I could never do that, how did they get there? You're saying, I can become that if I work, if I shift, if I grow, right? And the second thing is, I want you to message your coach your takeaway from this Zoom or your takeaway from this book, okay? Because there's so many things, like, not even in what I just said, but this book is huge, or I want you to start making these shifts this week and reach out and look for that coaching, or reach down and pull out that greatness. Make a tag, start texting, start messaging, start opening up dialogue about this. Don't keep it to yourself, because you grow. Like, what happens? You read something, you start to apply it. You start to talk to someone else about it. They're like, oh, here's how I applied it and took it away. There's nothing negative that comes out of that. There's only growth. Okay. So I think let's get fired up for fall. Who saw Harvest Sunrise is on the site right now. Let's start texting that out. We're going into the final quarter, you guys. Stay in it, stay focused, and let's lead into hacking better. And I will see you guys tomorrow.